my name's Devon, like you said. I'm Devon BL at all of the places. You can call me Devon, though you can skip the BL. Thank you. See, this is me. That's me. Hi. Like Brent said, I run the React Bay Area meetup, if you ever want to come to a meetup. And I am a front-end engineer at Apple by day. I write a ton of code. It's sometimes pretty okay code, but almost none of that code will any of you actually see, because if you were to pull up my GitHub profile, you would see I've made 0 upstream contributions in the last year, and I probably won't make any in the upcoming year either if my employment doesn't change. So I know like a lot of you in the room are probably making this face. Oh no! So this is a confused emoji, like this. He's making this face. That's your face that you're making because you're like, oh, this is supposed to be an open source community thing where we're talking about contributing code and blah, blah, blah. But I'm here to tell you there are a lot of reasons why some people aren't actually contributing upstream to different repositories, even though we really want to. So why no open source? Everybody, why no open source? I find that those of us who aren't contributing traditionally fall into 3 main categories: those who can't, those who don't, and those who won't. Those of us that can't usually have some sort of legal thing around us. Our employers forbid it, or we have some sort of conflict of interest with a patent or a license. There's some sort of non-compete, some sort of contract involved. So those are the can'ts, right? But there's also the don'ts. So those are people who can't find enough hours in the day, or already contributing lots of hours and lots of code to their work code base. And so at the end of the day, they're like, I want to hang out with my family. I don't really want to write any more open source. And then there's, yeah, I know you're out there. There are those of us who just like have super bad imposter syndrome too, and we just don't want to put ourselves out there and like make ourselves vulnerable in front of this community. And mostly, I think there's a lot of us that are just lazy. And I think a lot of people who aren't contributing to open source, but using open source, are just at the end of the day, they're like, I'd rather eat pizza and play video games than contribute any more code to like the libraries that we know and love. But the third group is the group that won't, and I'm not sorry for bringing this up, but this community, while we use the descriptor of open, is inherently very divisive and exclusive. And while we want a lot of people to contribute open source, you'll notice on the issues and on IRC that the language that we use is very divisive and it's problematic. And there's a lot of hate speech against minorities and against women. And that inherently keeps those people out when they might potentially contribute more to open source communities. Thanks. So if you want to build a community, seriously? If you want to build an open source community, this is an open source community. You can see they're all contributing code except for the last one. He's playing video games. I would encourage all of you who have components, who have libraries, who have repositories, just enforce a zero-tolerance policy against hate speech and divisive and problematic language, like no pejoratives, period. But if you are one of the few people out there who wants to give back to your community, but you can't write code, you should clone repositories, run them in all their permutations with different operating systems and builders and other sorts of software tools. Become really educated enough that you can actually open an educated, informed issue, or contribute to documentation. Documentation is living, and we know that our software products cannot become any more successful if we don't continue to build a community that understands how they work, right? Yes. Also write blog posts, write instructional videos, like sing the praises. This is something that's interesting. I'm educated on it. Ask me a question. If you have extra time on your hands, I encourage you to start a meetup. They're needed all the time. Everybody's always seeking attention. I always have a wait list for my meetups, so more React.js meetups in the Bay Area would be fantastic. Come to meetups. The little microclimates of discussion that sort of happen encourage more open source contributions, encourage actual software contributions to happen. We come up with simple solutions to complex problems that nobody's actually talking about until they're stuck in a room together. And then most importantly, I think what all of us can do is just sing the praises of the software that we know and love, evangelize. Like, have you heard the good news? React.js is awesome, it's easy to use, It's well documented. Tell your mom, tell all your coworkers, tell Twitter. Like, just sing the praises. Any publicity is good for the software that we know and love. And also, take pictures in front of Christmas trees. That's really important to open source. That's it.